Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips, get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
Coming up on the Payoff. By the time he was 18 years old, Peter Meyerhoff's drug addiction had led him to a 12-year prison sentence. When he was behind bars, he not only survived, but became a shot caller. I want you to listen to this podcast if you want to find out what a shot caller is. He was released from prison at 30 years old. He says when he got out of prison, he was 100 times worse a guy than he was when he got in. So how is he sober today and carrying an incredible message and also experiencing incredible success as an entrepreneur? You're going to have to listen to the podcast. This is a dynamic dude, and his experience, as I said to him, he's uniquely qualified to bring people back from the brink. And if you're one of those people, you want to listen to this. All right. And all the notes about Peter, all his links are in the show notes. He's got a lot going on. Check it out there. He's got a podcast. He's got a sober app. He's got a clothing line. He's got it all. But first, Kevin Souza. So let me get into your story.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the Phoenix area?
Ahwatukee. It's like a little nice suburb right outside of Phoenix.
Okay. And when did you start to get involved, drinking or using? Like, was there a moment? 15.
When I had a fake sexual assault happen when I was 15. That's when I started using drugs after that happened.
What happened with the sexual assault?
Dude, so like I was the most popular kid in school. So Ahwatukee, there's 2 high schools in Ahwatukee. It's like I was the most popular kid out of literally both schools. I was the only dude that knew everybody in both schools. Like I was in a movie as a kid. I had a modeling agent. I was a top athlete. Like, you know how it is. Like I had it all as a kid. And 15 years old, man, me and my buddy Brandon Nelson, who was legit my best friend back then. And we were the 2 most popular kids. And I was raised by a single mother and he was the rich kid, and we were just like a perfect, pair. And, dude, I literally took one for the team for him, man, because so my mom was a flight attendant and she was always out of town on the weekends. And so we, use her house, and we weren't even driving at the time. It was me and him. We're 15 years old, and he asked me to hook up with this chick, Ashley, so he can hook up with her friend, Lindsay, right?
Which happens when you're that age.
Yeah. So we have, keep in mind, we're freshman year in high school, not even driving yet. So Lindsay's older brother they, like we do when you're kids, sneak out of the bedroom window. He has to drive them. He drops them off at my mom's house. He supplies us. We had 1 big bottle of Jack Daniels. We had that for 2 days for Friday and Saturday night, right? So we all get hammered. I end up losing my virginity that night to this chick. He hooks up with the other woman. We do the exact same thing Saturday night, literally to a T, finish off the rest of the Jack Daniels bottle, all 4 of us, just 4 of us again. Sunday comes around and somehow she says I had sex while she was sleeping. And like said it so casually. Like I was on the phone with him, like calling him, trying to hang out. But it was so weird. I remember like it was yesterday. Like, they were just being short with me. And I was just like, and I finally told her, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, why are you guys acting like this? And she tried to say that I had sex with Ashley while she was sleeping. I'm like, bro, I don't even know what that means. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what? I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
And she ended up hanging up the phone on me. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And I'm like, but I'm not even tripping. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's wrong with those chicks, And I go home a couple hours later. My mom now, as I walk in the house, I can tell my mom is on the phone with her mom. And somehow like the next words out of my mom was like, my son would never rape your daughter, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, they're saying I raped her? I like had no idea, bro. And of course, police hit me up. I admit I'll take a lie detector test. And they did a swab test on her. It showed that she had sex, but nothing was forced.
Yeah.
And she refused to take a lie detector test, said she didn't want to press charges. But that next Monday, bro, she went around telling everybody in school. And I go from being the most popular kid in school to like legit, I had to get a police escort off campus that day. And it all goes away, bro. If my one buddy just speaks his mind and says he knew what was happening, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, kids back then, no one wanted to say anything. So my own best friend wouldn't stand up for me. And I went from, like I said, being that to like I couldn't even walk school. I instantly dropped out of school because I wasn't safe. Like that.
And you dropped out of school your freshman year.
Freshman, I never made it through a semester of high school.
And so then
my life was over.
And then you start to use to kind of just self-medicate.
Well, I was hanging out with dudes that weren't in school, and that's all they did was drugs. I never even seen those drugs before. You know what I'm saying? So like instantly that weekend, I go hang out with these because I knew everybody. So all I had to do was then, all right, I'm not in school now. I go hang out with the other kids. I know that I knew they didn't go to school. I didn't know what the hell they did all the time though, because I was an athlete.
Yeah.
So what sport
were you playing?
Baseball, football. I used to box and I played volleyball myself. I ran track even. I did it all. I've never played a video game in my life, bro. That's all I did was played sports. I was in the streets as a kid, like every day. I'm not a TV person. Still don't like. I like activities. I like being outside. I like fresh air. I just like it all.
Yeah.
And
so you're 15 and you're out. Your careers now are over. I'm guessing because you take this.
Everything's over.
Yeah.
Sports are over. So I keep in mind, I have still to this day, I never got to play one high school sport or anything.
Oh, yeah. And you're always in the gym. You're obviously fit. I mean, you're working out's a big part of your life.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm 6'4", 260. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm athletic, bro. And that's all I did was play sports. And what's crazy is when I talk to high school kids now, I'm like, that's my biggest message there is because I'm at peace with everything in my life except what happened in my high school years. Because I mentor, I'm not going to throw him on blast, but I kind of mentor this. He's one of the top recruits out here in Phoenix, and he's a basketball player,
Yeah.
And just grew up like no one deserves to grow up, no parents and stuff. And so they had me kind of talk to him when I was at the school last time. And I'm just kind of took it into my, my whatever called it, kind of try and mentor this kid because I'm like, dude, I just want kids to know like those high school years, you're never getting those back. You know what I mean? And of course, they got in a fight last year, so they all got suspended, and they were the number 2 team in the state, and then got knocked out first round of the playoffs. And I'm like telling them, I'm like, bro, you can make 6 figures 10 different times. You can make $1 million 10 different times. You know what I'm saying? You are never, ever, ever going to get back those high school years. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Trust me. I'm like, and I told them, I'm like, I'm at peace with everything in my life except that. And I don't know if I'm ever going to get there, bro. Like seriously, like it kills. Like it gives me teary-eyed thinking about it. And I just noticed then like my passion is just helping people. You know what I mean? Like I want people not to go down the path I went down. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy, and kids are so easily impressionable, and like a lot of kids are just pussies too. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to stand up for their friend because they don't want to offend the other person, and it's just like, dude, and it's like.
Well, you said you used the word popular, and it's high school. Unfortunately, can be like a popularity contest. And
absolutely, bro.
You know what I mean? You witnessed both sides of it, which honestly rarely people do. So it's no surprise that you went. When you're on the other side of it, you're going to alcohol, you're going to drugs. What kind of drugs were you doing when you were running with these guys who were out of school?
So my first weekend hanging out with these dudes, I'm not joking. I do crystal meth, smoke crack, shrooms, acid, ecstasy, like everything except heroin or opiates, because those weren't even big back then, you know? And that was I did all those drugs for my first time the same, like it was a weekend, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday or something. And that was just, like I said, a normal days for them. And from the time I used that first weekend, I didn't get off until I put myself in treatment. Ferguson! Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
I didn't get off until I was in treatment. And I was in treatment at 15 years old.
And so, what was your bottom that led you to treatment? Was it just like your parents? Because the
meth was it. The meth was it, man. Like that's the one that really got a hold of me. The other drugs, like the ecstasy and stuff, you don't do that every day. Like that was like a party thing on the weekends. But then like
meth, you do meth, and it's like, okay, I can do this forever. You tell yourself, I can do this forever. Like this is makes me better.
Yeah, you stay doing all the other drugs, and then Sunday comes around, you still got the meth in your system. I'm like, all right, I'll just keep doing meth. So then you do meth all week long, and then the weekend comes around, you go back to the other drugs and. I did that until I put myself in treatment at 15 years old. And the craziest thing about it is like, I thought I had enough then. And I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I get out of treatment, do a 28-day treatment at 15 years old. And that night I used the night I get out of treatment, bro.
Yeah.
Like, but I didn't have, and that's why I teach a lot of times now. I was like, I didn't have a plan when I got out. You know what I'm saying? All I knew is I wanted to get sober, but I didn't have like a game plan made for me when I was getting out of rehab. And like the day after I got out of rehab, I didn't even know what I was going to do, and like, I just got it. I went to a party. My friends threw me a party for getting out of treatment. And what do you think happens at that party?
Yeah.
It's just like, So stupid the things we do, man. You know?
How does it start to ramp up? You know, you're 15, you're going to rehab, and then you end up, a huge part of your story, you go to prison at 18. And was the trouble you got into, was that feeding your addiction?
Yeah, it was all. So that's what we do. You know, when I started doing that, and then it was just like you get into stealing every day to feed your drug habit, and that's what we did. Like every day of my life, I was stealing and doing meth. And I ended up stealing a Mercedes-Benz from the Mercedes-Benz dealership, and it was brand new. Back when that Gone in 60 Seconds came out, because they said those cars were unstealable.
Yeah, I remember.
And you know, me
being
this little whatever you want to call myself, and not caring about life anymore. I'm like, I'm gonna go show them that I can steal one of those cars. You know?
Yeah.
So I stole one of those. I get probation, and then I get
What are your parents doing at this time? Like, what's your support system?
At this time, my dad is like gone, and not like by him, meaning like I don't want nothing to do with him. He's in, recovery. So
he is?
I'm not ready. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He has like what's crazy, he would have almost 30 years sober. I think he has 17 years now. And you want to know his last relapse? So now I got sentenced to prison for 12 years. He went and got a hotel room and just got a bottle of wine and got hammered.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think he had 10 years sober when he did that.
And so now he's almost 30 years sober. And what did you think of his recovery when you were using? Were you just like, I want nothing to do with that?
I just thought it was a boring life that was no fun. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly thought that if I made it that to be that old, I'd have to be that life. Have to live that life when I was that age. But I was like, there's no way I was ready for that yet.
Dude, I thought the same thing. I had people in my life who were sober, and I was like, that's fine. It's almost like, an escape hatch or something like that. You know, an eject
I'm like, okay,
button.
I'll get sober when I'm ready, when all the fun's over.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to not have fun. And it's so crazy because, dude, I've had more fun in these 6.5 years that I've been sober, like times that it's not even a comparison.
Yeah. I mean,
you can appreciate those stuff. Like I could walk outside in my backyard right now and have fun, like just appreciating fresh air and looking at my backyard. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
How is this my backyard? And then I know too, if I wasn't sober, I don't have this backyard. You know what I'm saying? And that's why like people always ask me, like, how do you keep going? I'm like, bro, if I take a drink, for one, I'm not going to stop at the one drink. For two, I'm probably going to get blacked out. And when I get blacked out, I usually say yes to drugs. And then three, my house, my car, it's all gone. You know what I mean? Like after my last overdose and when I died, like I don't have another one in me, man. Like I legit firmly believe with everything in me that if I relapse, I'm dead.
Well, and you mentioned, the woman you're with, you're about to have a baby. Those are the type of people you attract when you're sober. When we're drinking and we're using, it's like those lower companions. It's people that, are just
low
as
vibration
fucked up.
People that just want to suck off each other and live in their own shit.
Totally. Yeah. So you end up, you steal the Mercedes and then you end up, are you doing like burglaries?
All right. Yeah. So let me tell you how this happens. Coming full circle. I'm 18 years old and my little brother and them had come back to my mom's house and they had told me that the Nelsons were out of town and they had just burglarized the Nelsons' house.
So is your brother using too? Is he kind of like part of
No.
Okay.
Not even. He's just a drinker.
Okay.
And they all just partied and drank. That was all. They just partied, drank, and smoked weed. And
so they said the Nelsons are out, like we can have a party at the house.
No, they want to go burglarize. So they were the richest kids in all of the Ahwatukee where we were from, right? Like 12,000 square foot house, like their name across half court. They had an indoor basketball court, like that kind of rich. You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, you could look it up. Todd Nelson, I think he was the second highest paid person in all of Arizona annually when he was living there. I think he made $59 million his last year in Arizona.
Okay.
And he was the president of University of Phoenix and Apollo colleges.
Okay.
So we go, and then one of my brother's friends tells me that they're in Hawaii for spring break and no one's even home and the house is unlocked. And we're like, no shit. And keep in mind, this was my best friend that wouldn't stick up for me. Okay. So he has one little brother that's my brother's age. And then the older ones. So like I said, we grew up with these families since we were kids and he didn't stick up for me. You know what I mean? Like to say I was hurt is an understatement. Like I couldn't even fathom what happened. Like it's still crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, it's obviously you're still kind of pissed about it, you know.
I noticed every time I talk to him, I'm thinking around, like, how the hell did this happen? You know what I mean? But anyways, it's true. So anyways, that happens, and then we go to his house, and I kid you not, man, I stole. My mindset when I went through it was so big. I wanted to steal some stupid stuff that they wouldn't even notice were gone. It was worth a lot of money, you know. Like, so I stole a snowboard, a drill, and this is no joke. This is what I got 12 years in prison for. I stole some Jordan sandals and Jordan basketball shorts. And I got 12 years in prison. Wow. I didn't even make it out of the garage.
We'll get back to this conversation in a second. But right now, a word from our sponsors.
From the host of the popular podcast, The Only One in the Room, Stash by Laura Cathcart Robbins is a propulsive and vivid memoir about the journey to sobriety and self-love amidst addiction, privilege, racism, and self-sabotage. Best-selling author Holly Whitaker calls it an irresistibly delicious story. And MacArthur Foundation fellow and best-selling author Kiese Lehman says Stash is emotionally riveting. Buy Stash by Laura Cathcart Robbins now, wherever books are sold.
Because they have the gym is attached to the garage. There's like a little closet right there that has like literally like unlimited amounts of Jordan sandals, basketball shorts. It's like a locker room thing, So like I'm just taking stupid stuff out of there. Like, what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff I took. My buddies run down and they say they got the jewelry and they're like, let's go. And I fall and they run out of there and it was a bag of jewelry they had.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap. I'd never seen shit like that. And I knew it wasn't fake just because I knew who they were, you know what I mean? And I was just like, oh my God. Of course, I'm on probation. So I get arrested on just a probation violation.
Did you get arrested that night?
No, it was like 3 days later.
Okay, so did you guys sell the stuff and use it to get messed up, or was it hard to sell it?
After it happened, I was too scared to do anything, bro. Like I knew, like I sold a couple things, like a laptop and stuff, to like my to a drug dealer for some drugs. But other than that, like we had plans to do that, and I was just like, I'm like, dude, this shit is traced or something. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea what was going to happen. So what's crazy, my co-defendant, the dude that stole the jewelry, had got caught selling the jewelry to 3 different pawn shops in his own name. So when we all got arrested, he had 3 more class 3 felonies than me. But he told the cops where the jewelry was. He told the cops that I had robbed the house and he was sleeping. And since I was like this tough kid, because I just went to jail for stealing a Mercedes and I didn't say anything, they threw the book at me and made an example of me. For one, not working with them, and then 2, like they went with all their statements because they were telling me, and I was like this tough kid, so I'm not saying anything.
I saw, and let me corroborate. I saw from reading about you that this judge that threw the book at you, he doesn't even work anymore. I guess the word is practice.
They banned
anymore.
him because they said he was too harsh on his sentences.
Yeah.
He had this weird thing in his head where he thought kids' minds weren't fully matured until they were in their 30s. So that's what he did. He would lock kids up until they were 30.
And so you go to prison.
And I was in
for 12
years. 18 years old for 12 years, and that equals 30.
So what is it like with your family when you say, hey, I'm going away? I mean, you told me the impact it had on your father. What's your mom and your brother like?
Horrible, man. Horrible. Like, I mean, to this day, I still, I try to block that shit up, but like, I ruined my brother's sporting, and after that, like, my brother dropped out of school, and he played on my teams growing up, and he was 2 years younger than me. Like, that's how good he was at sports. You know what I mean? Like, he would throw some dudes out, and he was a catcher, like on his, and dude, he wasn't even a freshman. He'd be like playing with the high school kids and throwing dudes out from his knees. Like he was just a stud, and dropped out of school, but I didn't know too much about that because I was in jail the whole time, so I didn't see all that. I was in the jail fighting my case for almost 2 years, and it's like I still finally, I don't even think I realized the toll it did on my family until I got out. Like I still realize it. Like there's stuff that still affects. Dude, listen to me crying still, my mom and everything like that. And I've been out of prison almost 8 years. And I cry every day still. Like, dude, I think I cried 3 times yesterday, bro. I'm not even joking. Like, whether it's pulling up to my house and just like looking where I live now, or like listen to a song that would come on the radio, or just like driving with the windows down. I'm like, how the hell am I just driving right now with these windows down? Like feeling this air, like
after being incarcerated for so long.
Yeah, because I was in a cell forever without fresh air. Like literally, my last 11 months I was in solitary confinement, like 24-hour day lockdown. Like my last 11 months in there, I did not go outside the pod one time and feel fresh air.
Now I want to talk to you a little bit about that. You go to prison and you basically take on a different identity, because the way that I take it is you were kind of a junkie before you got in there, and then you get in there and you become a hard guy. I mean, because you have to be, otherwise, you'll fall victim to all the shit that goes on in prison. What happens? How do you earn a reputation?
So like I said, luckily you asked about sports. I used to box, man, and I didn't look like this, dude. So I was 6 foot, 144 pounds.
I saw pictures.
And I had long blonde hair. Yeah. Like, I didn't find this out till later on that they thought I was like, I could have possibly been gay because I was like a little pretty boy, like everybody's are gangbangers, you know what I'm saying? Because I hit like a high security yard, and these dudes are doing tons of time, and I'm this little pretty boy with long blonde hair, like arms, like literally like this, not even the size of my wrist right now. And I remember the dude that was running my building and he was legit twice my size. And I remember him telling me, like, do you know why they call it a sucker punch?
Because I think if you get hit in jail, you're the sucker, right?
Yeah, because you're the sucker if you get hit. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? And he's like, that means if you even think you're going to get into it with anybody, you just take off on them. I was like, we can do that in prison? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool. And I'm real good at reading vibes and stuff, like I could tell that no one really messed with me there, and I didn't like I'm an alpha male. I was always used to like running stuff, even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like I could just tell that no one really respected me. I didn't like that, so I was like, I'm gonna try and beat up somebody, and maybe that'll give me some respect here. Seriously, and it happened to be the dude that was. I didn't want it to be the biggest dude in my building. I was running my building, but he was the only dude that like was legit a dick to me. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And he ends up saying something to me about how he's gonna like teach me how to respect my elders or something. And he goes and he goes to take the chew out of his mouth. And of course, I'm remembering what he just told me like 3 weeks ago, So he goes to turn around to take the chew off his mouth, and I'm just on top of him and beat the brakes off this dude. And they end up pulling me off him. And then the next day, we'll go walk to chow. And keep in mind, before this, no one knew my name. Like, they didn't even notice me there. Like, you don't even talk to youngsters until you find out they're going to stay on the yard for a few months. You know what I'm saying? Usually, they're just going to check in and request protection, and they go. And now I have all these OGs coming up to me, yo, youngster, I heard what you did, blah, blah. And I'm just like a light went off in my head. You know what I mean? Not for a good reason, but like, I'm not thinking about the streets at this time. 12 years feels more like a life sentence to me than it feels like I'm going home in 12 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I can do this now, And then, the dude running the yard all of a sudden wants to talk to me, And then he asked me if I want to like put in work and stuff. And I don't even know what that means. I was like, what does that mean, putting in work? And he tells me, it's like, if there's snitches or sex offenders, all that stuff in there, you're doing. I'm like, yeah, sign me up, whatever. Because I just got 12 years to get snitched on for something that we all did.
Yeah.
And I started I noticed one thing about in there. I realized I was tough, and whooping people's ass in there gets you a lot of respect. And I'm not to brag about this dude, but I've probably been in over 200 fights in prison. And to this day, I only got hit in the face twice in my entire prison career. And I started getting a reputation for being a badass dude there, And then once I got to 23 and I'm on my first 4-yard now, and I'm like putting on a little size now, I'm like 200 pounds. I got facial hair now. Like, dude, I got locked up. I barely had armpit hair. Like, I didn't even have facial hair until I was like 22, 23 years old, And so now I'm like running buildings and stuff. And then I get my first 4-yard when I'm 23 years old.
When you say running buildings, for people that don't know,
like a shot caller. So each yard has a shot caller, which means like it's the head dude in charge. It's like you could put it as like the CEO of your company,
Okay.
That's in figurative terms. And then there's each building, there's a dude running the building. And then in each building, there's a different dude running each run, right? Because the dude running the yard can't deal with every single building and run there. So you have, you delegate these buildings in pods to each of these people, and there's like chain of command. So like me, when I'm running the yard, I'm not going to hear about some little stuff that happened in building 2 on Baker Run, because the dude that's running building 2 is going to handle it. Unless it's something big, then he's going to come get with me.
Okay. Yeah.
So I start running buildings, and then before you know it, I'm 23, and I'm full on. I pull a cop on the yard, just like you hear about in the movies, bro. I freaking pull a corrections officer. So I'm 23 years old. I'm like in a relationship with this corrections officer, and I'm running this 4-yard. And to be honest, prison wasn't that bad for me right then.
Yeah.
But I didn't think about the streets.
You got a girlfriend, like, you got juice, you got like, yeah.
Dude, I'm eating food from the streets, you know what I mean? I have unlimited amounts of drugs in there. Like,
what kind of drugs are you doing in prison?
Now I've graduated to heroin.
Yeah.
So, and they told me that when I remember my first time seeing heroin in prison, that was the first time ever seeing heroin any time in my life. And I'd never even seen a person on heroin before, And it's so crazy how like easily it just gets portrayed to you there. Like, so on a 4-yard, there's 100 dudes on each side of the building, and I'm not joking. Out of those 100 people, there's probably at least 94 of them that slam heroin on a high prison yard. So I'm like this. I've pulled the cops, so I have unlimited amounts of drugs. But I'm just a yard is also a business.
Yeah.
So like, it's not just being the toughest dude there. You have to know how to make money. You have to sell drugs, run stores. You have to make money to take care of literally the dudes that are slammed down at Supermax, like the Aryan Brotherhood guys. That's literally how it works out here.
Do you get any kind of credibility because you're using too? So it's kind of, you're on the same level.
It's actually, you gain more credibility for being a dude with the dope sack that doesn't use drugs.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
It's like, so it was me and the SA dude that was running the Mexicans, and he didn't use drugs at all either, and I came back from work one day, and I could tell he's high as hell. And I remember telling him, what the hell is wrong with you, And he shows me, pulls out his hand, and he has like a whole handful of brand new needles. And I was like, what the hell are you doing with those? Because he was one of the other guys that was anti-drugs and anti-needle with me, And I was like, what the hell are you doing with those? He's like, bro, I just tried it. I was like, shut up. He's like, I swear they're brand new. He's like, my cellie just hit me. And I was like, and how is it? He's like, bro, it's the best thing ever. And I'm like, really? And he's like, when they go to chow, he's like, just stay back behind my head. And this is how it gets. I slammed off my first time. it doesn't even ask me questions. He's like, just stay back when they go to chow. Now they're on standby for chow. When everybody goes, we'll stay back. My cell, my celly hit you. I'm like, all right, whatever, fuck it, you know.
Yeah, my cellmate.
Doesn't do it. So yeah, if he's doing it, he's gonna, you know, and he likes it. Why not? You know, this guy's not a druggie, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember I did it, and I remember laying there. I was just like, I could do time like this, you know, like you just not out without a care in the world. I was already locked in a cell for a lot of the time, anyways, and. Man, dude, a heroin addiction in prison is just like another level. Because even when you get off it, you have to literally look at people slamming dope in front of you all the time. It's like the worst of the worst of the worst. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I always told myself. Like, my family would be worried. They're like, when are you going to get off drugs? And I'm like, I'll figure it out when I get out on the streets. Like, I'm not going to have to watch people shooting heroin when I get home, when I go home. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I used to say. So, like, I'm like, trust me, when it's easier and I have stuff to be hateful, I'm not watching my next door neighbor slam heroin, I'll get off heroin.
Of a 24-hour day, how many hours are you high when you're in the thick of it?
24.
Okay.
Bro, it's like a drug run on the streets, bro. Like, I mean, they almost had to rush me to the hospital my last time detoxing because I was so dope sick and strung out.
Wow.
Cops knew me on the yards, and if I was like, no joke, if I was on a 4-yard, I was probably weighing 180 pounds and slammed in a cell all day long. And if I had just made it back down to a 3-yard where I had some movement and stuff and some freedom, then I was working out.
So what's a 40?
I'm sorry, a 4-yard. So 4-yard is one step below maximum security. So it's still like completely controlled movement. It's 24-hour a day lockdown. 4 days a week. You get 3 showers Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And and then your next step, you screw up in there, you're in maximum security, which is 24-hour day lockdown, single cell every day. You don't the only time you get out of your cell is you're shackled up before they even open your cell door.
And so if you
that's where I got out from.
Wow. And so if you behave like somewhat, you'll get down to the lower and lower, right?
Yeah,
lower
and
security.
so the lowest I could ever go was a 3-yard.
Okay.
Which is there's lifers there. That's the lowest you can go if you're a lifer, but it's actually an open dorm living. So it's more freedom, and you get rec every day and then you can shower anytime. That's the greatest thing about the open runs is just showering whenever you want, you know?
Yeah. I can't fucking imagine. Right. I mean, you're
imagine you know what I was telling my girlfriend last night? I was like, you know what's crazy, the worst thing? So if you get a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday shower, say you're on Friday shower, right? You just get your Friday shower, and then you don't have a shower coming until Monday again, right? And then they put you on standby for chow. You're in Buckeye or Yuma. So you go to the chow hall, and it's all controlled movement with gun towers. Like, each run goes with themselves, walk single file lines. By the time you get done, because it's so controlled movement, like, dude, you're drenched in sweat, and you just got your shower, and you don't get a shower for another 3 days again. You're just like,
oh, yeah.
It's just like the little, you know, it's the hardest stuff about prison is the stuff that the people out here never think about. You know, like that's the stuff that used to drive me crazy. You know, like you're just like sticky and sweaty for 3 more days. You know, and then you take bird baths like you see in the movies, like, where I'm literally sitting on a toilet, like pouring cups of water on myself to clean.
And that's the shit that makes you emotional now, I'm sure. You know, like the
sure.
freedom you
100%.
have. Well, is there any
That's why I can appreciate fresh air out here and stuff, you know, and shower whenever I want. Like, dude, my girlfriend gives me shit all the time. She's like, she hates that I take so many showers. And I'm like, yo, I didn't used to get showers whenever I want. Like, I shower 3 times a day a lot of times. Like, if I get hot and I'm doing whatever, I'm going to shower again. Like, I have all the freedom in the world. It drives her crazy. But I'm like, yo, go a month and get like 6 showers, and you'll appreciate showers like me.
Well, what about the fact that, like, you know, recovery? Is there any? I've gone to, you know, my experience with prison. I've been to jail, but I've never been to prison. My only experience is going there with a recovery group, taking meetings in there. And the moment they don't. Here's my impression, dude. This is Pennsylvania. We weren't welcome there by the guards, by the people. They don't, you know what I mean? It's almost like you're a nursance if you're trying to bring recovery into a prison. Yeah. So what's it like on the other side?
It's not even that. Yeah, it's not even that. It's just because, like, when a person comes in and the cops have to do extra stuff, they have to do more paperwork. They're just, a lot of them are just freaking lazy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's all it is. They just want to keep us locked in ourselves and sitting there, and they sit in the dark in there and talking or taking naps and stuff. So it's not that they're like dickheads, they're just lazy dudes, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they don't want you there. And it's like, when you go to the higher yards, there is no recovery. Like, zero. You'd be lucky to get 1 AA meeting a month on a 4-yard.
Did you have anything that planted the seed for you when you were in there?
I knew I needed AA because I'd been in AA since I was a kid. You know, my dad was in AA. So like, but there was a tricky slope for me because I knew I needed to not do drugs for sure. And I knew that I was going to be in AA one day. I just wasn't ready to get out of prison at 30 years old and had never been to a bar, never been to a club, never been on a date. I had never had a job. Like, I was not ready to throw in the towel and like never drink, you know what I mean? So, but it almost cost me my life, you know what I'm saying? And that was the case until like I got blacked out and used and died. And like, I was like, all right, like, what's more important to you? You know what I'm saying?
So did you black out in prison and almost die? Was that, or was it?
This happened when I got out, like 7 months out of prison.
Okay, so you get out. Anything else to, like, eye-opening that happened to you, in prison before we want to move on? Because
my last 11 months when I said I was in, slammed down in solitary confinement, I was, just to show, coming full circle, how much you can change your life. Like I was not a good person when I went to prison, and after that 12 years, I was 100 times worse of a person. Like not even a comparison, and it was so bad. My last 10, 11 months in there, I was in, like I said, solitary confinement, but I was under investigation for attempted murder, full blown. So I didn't know if I was going to get out or go back to the county jail and get charged with something,
And you're young too. To the other guys in there, you're 29, 30. I mean, you got your whole life. Were guys in prison saying, "Hey, man, you got to fucking chill out a little bit. You're about to be free."
Nobody could, because I was the man there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's crazy is like the only thing I got of that was like a couple of the other OGs, like the real gangster dudes in there. Like they used to be like, "Chap, you're crazy, bro. You got to calm down before you get out of."
And they call you Chappie because, and I'm not calling you Chappie because I don't want to get my ass kicked, but they called you Chappie because I
like the name. A chapstick addiction. That's literally it, bro.
Yeah, and so they called you Chappie. Yeah, as you pull out the chapstick right now. Yeah. And so they called you Chappie, and that was your name. You say in prison when they give you a nickname, that's a wrap on that. Like
it is your nickname, yeah. So like I said, when they first gave me that nickname, youngsters could not call me that. You know what I mean? But like all the OGs, I couldn't say shit to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I get out, and then what's crazy is the SSU staff, they're like the detectives in there. Okay, so like you have the regular corrections officers, and then if something happens, if they're like investigating assaults and stuff like that, it's called SSU, which are like, so they're the guys that do all the booking and stuff and send you to the hole.
Yeah.
SSU staff that came to my cell, and they told me, I was like, asking like, "Yo, when am I going to get out of here?" I remember begging them, like, "You can't expect me to do 12 years in prison and then spend my last almost year in solitary confinement and like be successful when I get out." You know what I mean? Like,
that's
it's
a
not
good
going
point,
to work,
actually.
And you know what they told me? They're like, "Listen, Mr. Meyerhoff, we're absolutely done with you. They're like, we had made up our mind. You're sitting here until you go home." And they said verbatim, they're like, "We're going to let the streets have their luck with you because we're done with you."
Because you were just
I got out.
A bad dude.
Yeah, I was just a nuisance, bro. Yeah, it was a nuisance. Every time I was around, people were getting, whooped or, just all kind of stuff, or calling shots on people and, just all kind of different stuff.
So you get out and what's the reception like immediately from your family? Are they kind of like worried? Are they like, "Hey, you need to get into recovery"? Like how does that transition take place?
They were worried, but they were so happy to have me home. My dad knows I need to go in recovery, but my dad also knows, like, I told him for 12 years, I'm not going straight into recovery when I get out. I got to go.
And he's also your dad. He's just happy to see you and have you alive.
For sure.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, after that sexual assault thing happened, like, I was not sexually active at all. Like, I was scared to touch women. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, I got out and I'm 30 years old, and I'm no joke. I just told this the other day, and, like, they couldn't believe me. I was 30 years old, and I think I had sex less than 7 times in my entire life. Not with 7 people, like 7 times.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so I was like, I'm going to go do that. And I had sex when I got out. I was like, this is cool, right? And so that's what I did. I was just at bars, just pulling chicks for like 6 months, and of course, like, I don't have an off button because I'm an alcoholic. So like, I get an assault case on parole. They put me on maximum security parole. That's still not enough for me.
What's maximum security parole like? Like, what is that like?
Which means, so like on parole, I'd worked my way down because I showed I didn't use drugs. I was just like being good out here. So like I only had to like check in like once a month and something, and it was a lot of times it was even, I think every month was a phone call, and then every other month I had to go check in person. And when you're on maximum security parole, it's like you get drug tested every week. You have to call every week. You have to go see them every other week. It's just like really, really strict.
Did that help? Did that help you kind of get sober?
Not at all, bro.
Okay.
It just helped me know that it was one of my last straws, and then my overdose comes. So
walk me through the overdose.
Yeah. I remember we're at a bar. I think it was a Friday, if I remember correctly. But I remember it was an afternoon, and we were drinking at a bar for a buddy's birthday party, right? Literally just an afternoon. And the last thing I remember is doing a Rumpelman shot. What sucked about me is like I feel like I still had like a kid acquired taste, so I didn't even like the taste of alcohol. So like I would drink, and I would drink so fast and just gulp it. I'd get so drunk so quick, but like I didn't know how to drink. You know what I mean? Like my first time blacking out, I told my brother I told him I felt bad. I was like, the bartender kept asking if I wanted another drink. I didn't want to say no to her. You know what I mean? Like that's how I didn't even know how to drink. So like the bartender asked me if I want to drink all night long. That's her paycheck. I think I'm being rude if I'm telling her no.
Yeah, because you're an alcoholic, you're a people pleaser too a little bit, right? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I have zero idea. I have zero idea what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't give you an instruction booklet on how to drink at bars when you get out of prison. So we're there drinking, and I said the last thing I remember was doing a Rumpelman shot, and the next thing you know, I wake up in an ambulance. And I remember I wake up, I'm like, what the fuck happened? And I look at the paramedic right here, and I'm like, what happened? And I remember thinking, I was I was at the bar. How could I be in an ambulance? And I was like, I had to have gotten in a fight or something, But I'm like, if I got in a fight, it should be the other guy in here, and I shouldn't be, I should be in handcuffs or something. And I asked the paramedic what the hell happened to me, and he's like, you overdosed. I remember this like it was yesterday. And I was just like, I don't even use drugs anymore. And he's like, well, you did today. And I remember just sitting there, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And I'm like, I don't remember even more of the ride there to the hospital. Like, then my next memory is, because I was clearly in and out of consciousness. By the time they got me to the hospital, my heart was beating 6 beats a minute.
Wow.
And
what did you do? What did you overdose on?
Fentanyl.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And next thing you know, I hear my little brother in the hallway, and of course he's on the phone with my dad in South Dakota, and he's like, "Yeah, fly out here, blah blah blah." And I remember yelling at him like, "You calling dad?" So this 30-year-old prison shot caller is like mad at my little brother, telling my dad that I just almost overdosed and died. But keep in mind, like, I don't even know what happened. I still don't know how I left the bar. I don't even know what happened. And so Matt comes in, and he's like, "Do you not know what happened?" I was like, "I have no idea what happened." I was like, "They told me I overdosed." And I was like, I was drinking at the bar with Chris and I remember it was the bar Hobnob. I was like, I don't know how I could have overdosed. And the doctor comes in, and that's how he tells me like how lucky I am to be alive. When they found me, I had no heartbeat. I was full on dead. They got my heart beating again, and by the time, like I said, they got me to the hospital, it was beating 6 beats a minute.
And just to be clear, it was heroin laced with fentanyl?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You tap your thing and then wait 10 seconds and like think of how long that is, bro. And that's how long in between my heartbeats were. Like it was the biggest miracle ever that I'm here to this day,
Yeah.
And so I'm in the hospital bed, and like I finally come to terms that, like, for one, I was mad that I didn't die. Seriously, like I was done suffering, man. Like I was done fighting this disease. I felt like exhausted. I was just done, like. I swear to God, 100% of 100% of me just wanted to die. And then I was like, man, like, for one, why did I live through this? Like, why couldn't I have just died? And then two, it's like, but I thought that was like another bad luck thing for me. It's like, God has always shit on me anyways. Of course he'd do this to me and then make me live. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, that's how I felt about God. And then and two, it's like, I had survivor's remorse, because it's like, why should a lifetime screw up like me survive through this when there's other good people that like relapse or like use a drug and they don't survive? So like, I had a real hard time, like, to be honest, surviving that, and, but then it's just something clicked. I still firmly believe that this is God to this day. It was just like a light went off inside my head, and I was just like, I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? Like, I've never like fully given like recovery a try. I've never I still haven't even tried to get a job yet. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm going to actually try and do this. So I go out to South Dakota and I stay with my dad for like 3 weeks. And I just go to a meeting every day, and we try to find a game plan. And then,
what was that like, that time with your dad? How special was that?
It's really, really cool. We were just golfing, doing stuff around the house with him, and going to a meeting every day, sometimes 2 meetings a day. And then I come out here right after I get my 30-day chip, and I'm going to go sell cars. My first job I've ever had in my life. Coming real quick, one last part of the overdose story, and I'll come back to this too. Yeah. That's what I want to tell you. The craziest part about that story, which is why I know God saved my life. So my ex-girlfriend's sister was the one that found me, right? And I didn't find this out until afterwards. She was coming home from work that's how I know it was a Friday, actually. She was going to go tanning after work. So she said she pulled into the tanning bed salon place. She parked her car. She said she got out of her car. She even walked all the way up to the tanning bed salon door. And she said, right when she put her hand on the door to go inside, she said something told her to go home. So she said, instead of opening the door, she takes her hand off the door, gets in her car, and goes home. She finds me in the bathtub with no heartbeat. Like, if she even walks in that tanning bed salon door and then decides to turn around, like, I'm probably dead. I mean, you can't go too long without no heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? So the whole time I'm like, holy shit, like, God, that was God that saved my life. I was like, why? For one,
where was your girlfriend, by the way? Where was she?
She was working.
Oh,
that's what, I mean,
okay.
clear. That's why. And what happened, I had to go to my phone to find out what happened. I got in touch with one of my old prison dudes on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yep. He'd messaged me, and I'm drunk at the bar. So of course, what does drunk me do?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you have heroin? Yes. Where are you at? Send me your location. And I don't even drive drunk. I went and drove drunk and everything.
Yeah. So
don't remember. That's how blacked out I was.
So you have the second lease on life. You're out with your father. You're going to meetings, and then you said you come back and you get a job. At 30 days.
Because here's the deal. I was tired of the fun being over. Just like we said, I wasn't ready for fun to be over. After that overdose, I was like, all right, it's the fun or life.
Yeah.
It was a pretty simple question answer for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and Peter, that's what happened to me too.
It
It's the gift of desperation. It's not like I did not like wake up one day and say, you know what I'm gonna do? Like I'm gonna stop drinking and stop using. I was like beaten into fucking submission, where it was like I have no other option but this. I gotta at least try this shit. You know, I got
and I told myself, like, I'll have fun later in life. You know what I'm saying? As long as I'm alive now and I can make something of myself, maybe I'll just get to have fun later in life. Yeah. That's what I told myself. Yeah. You know what I mean?
By the way, you have made something of yourself, and we'll get to that in a couple moments. You made and not just being sober, too, which is cool, because that's part of being sober, I think, tapping into those God-given skills. Your first opportunity to do that is you work at a car dealership, and I want you to – I've heard you tell the story. What about you're filling out the application? Now, you're a felon. How does that go?
Yeah. So I get the okay to meet with this GM and work there, and then I'm filling out the application, and it's like, have you ever been convicted of a felony in the last 10 years? I was like, I didn't have to say anything to these people, you know? It's like, I've been in prison 12 years. I haven't been convicted in 12 years, you know? And that GM was the only dude to take a chance on me, you know? And I went there and sold cars and made $10,000 my second month of my life ever working. And
what is your work ethic like? You as a person, you seem
psycho.
You're like you're an Energizer bunny. And so now you're sober.
100%.
Yeah, and so how did those two
things work? I just switched
that
flip, like and I put even a quarter of what I put into drugs into selling cars and working, and I was like, I became a millionaire in a few years, bro. Like, seriously, like, I made $100,000 my first year ever working with an 8th grade education out of 12-year prison sentence, still on parole, you know? Like,
how would you tell
by the
somebody,
time I was off parole in 2.5 years, sorry.
Good, go ahead. By the time you were off parole in 2.5 years?
Yeah, when I was off parole in 2.5 years, I had a $1,200 just car payment. I bought a brand new Raptor off the showroom floor at Chapman Ford, 2.5 years, 2 years out of parole.
So what is happening, like, with your work ethic? Like, what are you doing? How do you? I know you talk to young kids.
I just traded the bad vices and the supposed fun shit for stuff that was really cool and actually was going to mean something. And like, it's a perfect mixture. That's what I'm telling when I'm getting people freshly sober or something. Like, you gotta have something to occupy your time. The dealership is a great place because, for one, you can work as much as you want. I just switched my drug addiction to a money addiction. And then I made a bunch of money and bought a bunch of stuff, and then the money stuff didn't do it for me anymore. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I decided to quit my job. You know, I was gonna make $350 last year, and I walked away. Like, I had made over 40 G's in April, and in June I was like, I'm out on this place. You know what I mean? But
did you notice yourself drifting a little bit? You said you were addicted.
100%. It didn't do anything to me anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I had the cars, I had the house. I'm like, and a lot of people don't know because they haven't made that money. But like, once you get into making, you know, 100, 200, 300, 400 grand, that just gives you a taste of what money's like. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then it opens your eyes up to like expensive stuff that you never looked at before. And then I'm like, damn, I'm not even really rich yet. You know, I'm like, I don't have money. You know what I mean? And like, and then too, like, I'm a shot caller. I didn't like being yelled at. And like, it was a God thing, man, because I got just berated and screamed at work one day, dude, worse than I'd ever been talked to in my entire life by my boss, who's 5'7". And I was just, and in front of everybody too. And I'm like, and he even said to me at the end, you got it? And I like looked at him and I'm like, I couldn't even respond. I was just like this. And I think 3 days later, I quit my job, you know, but I was like, God, having all that happen to me, you know, and I just like, I told my GM, I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do other than I'm going to figure it out. And I just want to go help people, you know, like I saved up some money. I'm like, there's a good chance that I might be falling on my ass and asking you for a job back here. But I'm like, if I don't go, I'm going to think about this for the rest of my life. It's like, what if, you know what I mean? I had no recovery. I'd been making money, but I'm working 60 hours a week and working every weekend of my life. And I had, you know, I was doing zero recovery.
Yeah, so you're not drinking, but you're not, but yeah. You're not like quote unquote sober life. Like
I'd hit a meeting or two a month, and I'm doing nothing for people in recovery because I can't even have time to. I was trying to sponsor a couple people, and I couldn't even answer their phone calls. You know what I mean? And I was like, this isn't going to work, you know. And dude, last June, it just like a period of 3 days, I just happened to quit my job and leave, and I just knew right then that that's why I was saved from that day from God. You know what I mean? Because I started realizing that kind of my story was powerful instead of being embarrassed by my story. And just quit my job and decided to start sharing my story, man, and just started taking meeting after meeting and going through this network that I built in those years, and just tried meeting up with every other dude I knew that I didn't have time to meet with before, and just seeing what I could turn into something. And
isn't that crazy though, dude, how like, you know, you find that again, it's almost like that desperation, even in sobriety. It's like, you know, what am I supposed to do with my life? Like, even though I'm sober, I'm not connected. Like, and now you go next level. It's almost, that's like your process of recovery, because it sounds like you were working in the dealership for like 4 or 5 years, right?
5 years.
5 years, keeping a steady job, making a shitload of money, and you're still not getting that whatever you need to get.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I live in $1 million house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My next door neighbor's a retired FBI detective.
Yeah.
And that still wasn't enough for me. You know what I mean?
And what's
It's
your
not, like,
so your projects now? What you're doing?
yeah. So
Talk to a little bit about that. How you're giving back. And I want to ask you a couple more questions about ego and how you manage all this stuff.
yeah,
You got a lot going. Yeah.
So the project I got going on right now, the thing I'm the most proud of is my podcast. If everybody's listening, it's Roll Call with Chappie. I had no idea I was going to launch that when I quit my job. God put it in my lap, and I interviewed my parents for the first one, how it was with me getting the 12-year prison sentence, and then my little brother. And to be honest, if you ask me, like, I don't think there's a podcast out there that has a wider range of guests than mine, because I don't just put people on there that are in recovery. I don't put people on there that were just in prison. I don't put you on there just because you're, worth 9 figures. Like, there got to be cool stuff to the story. And I like talking. I really, really love inspiring and motivating people. Like, the greatest joy I have in it to this day now is like when someone tells me that they're inspired by me and like I actually made a change and like put the work in and actually I've changed their life, And that's what's my apps too. So I was on that Vice TV show and a couple of this app.
Yeah, you were on the Vice TV show. I was a teenage felon, right?
Yeah, if you have Hulu, you can watch it on Hulu. Season 2, episode 5 is the shot caller episode.
Yeah.
Dude, and they reached out to me on Instagram, and I had 500 followers, and I was working in the car business.
Really?
And and then I got 2 apps coming out. One is a sober app that's called. I have a sober clothing company too. It's just SOBR, and we removed the E because no excuses when you're getting sober, and that's what my app is going to be called too. So it's SOBR. It's just going to be like a real interactive, sober, cool app. Like there's none of those out right now. Like the coolest sober app there's nothing really, if you ask me. So this is going to be an interactive one, and I have like sober celebrities that are going to leave testimonials on there. We're going to do weekly Zoom calls and stuff. So if you ask me, it's going to be the most interactive sober app out. And then I also have another one that I'm going to sell directly to the states and government facilities for inmates while they're in there because they have iPads now. So my podcast is I just got approved for 230 more prisons actually this morning.
I was about to say, so can they hear your podcast in prison?
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on what's the message of this, I could possibly connect you to there too. And I just got approved in 230 more prisons actually this morning too. So I single-handedly want to change the recidivism rate for the entire country. Like I didn't think it was possible to make 6 figures when I got out of prison. Definitely didn't think it was possible to make $1 million. And like once I did it, I was just like, my mindset was like, dude, I quit my job and show these people that we can do this because no inmate's going to believe
the recidivism rate. I've never heard that. So
recidivism.
That's people that get out of jail
and come back. And I think it's 83 or 87%.
Wow.
It's astronomically high, right? So I want to change it, but it's so hard for inmates when they get out of prison. So my app that's going to be in there, it's going to teach them, mental stuff, how I acquire mental strength and switching that mindset, getting out of the politics. Because here's the deal: it's like one thing about inmates is they're not going to listen to a dude unless they feel like you've walked their footsteps. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no one in the world in prison that's going to go listen to, no offense to you, but you or a doctor that has a master's degree in recovery or something like that. Me, like there's nothing they can't say to me. You know what I mean? Like there's no max yard, super max yard that I didn't not only go to, but ran and was like the dude there. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you don't want to get with this stuff and you just don't want to change your life, you can't try and say shit to me because I have walked those footsteps. And it's crazy. I actually walked farther than where you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And which is why I think it works out so well because I'm telling you right now, I've lived that life. I've almost murdered people for them. I've been under investigation for all this stuff. I've done the worst of the worst. And I made it out and it did nothing for me except made me more institutionalized and like made it harder for me to made more stuff that I had to untrain my mindset and retrain the correct way out here, But like
you are
that's
uniquely qualified to bring people back from the brink. That's just
for sure. That's what I realized
my
passion is. And absolutely. And I just have a way with people, man. Like when I'm talking to anybody in recovery, it's like, and that's my goal. Anytime I do, just get me on the phone. I'm like, that's what I tell people. And like, he's not ready. I'm like, dude, just all I ask for is someone give me a 5-minute phone call. You know what I'm saying? I got a 5-minute elevator pitch from hell for people. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's not even my full story. It's literally just part of my story. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, it's not that bad where you are anymore, huh?
Yeah. So now are you going to meetings? Are you involved with the 12-step program? Like how are we rolling now in recovery?
Yeah. So I'm definitely a 12-stepper. I don't go to a ton of meetings anymore just because I'm so busy, but I'm in recovery every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I still go to meetings. Like I'm going to one tomorrow. So it's not like a regular thing for me. When I'm moving to Scottsdale right now, so I'm going to get back into the routine of going every morning. But I'm a 12-step guy through and throughout. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've just been really busy lately and doing a ton of recovery stuff. And with these
Peter, I need you to stay close, dude. You got a lot to offer. I can tell just talking to you now, you are on fire. And like you talk about what I love about being able to connect with you guys and putting you out there to hopefully a whole new group of people is that You are a cool dude, and I think that's one of the things that kept me out for a while. Because you'll use any excuse to just stay the fuck out there. And it's like, I don't want to be like them. You see a guy like you, man, we're outlaws in the best sense of the word.
Yeah.
There are sober people walking among us who you see at the 7-Eleven or the coffee shop and you're like, man, that's a bad motherfucker. Well, he's got fucking 10 years and he was in prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think your message is so important. I want to ask you a couple more questions before I let you out of here. How do you say, you're a nonstop go-getter. How do you deal with the word no? Because it seems like you've heard that and you just barrel through.
I don't hear it. Like literally, I'm not joking. Like, and I have my buddy Johnny that was on my Vice TV show. He's actually the guy that got me into drugs and I got him sober out of prison. And he's 2 years behind me, my whole path at the dealership. He's the sales manager there now. And I was telling him the other day, it's like when people tell me no, I like laugh, but I think it's kind of funny. I actually like it a little bit because it gives me something to work at. You know what I mean? Like I just have a thing in my head where I don't want someone forcing any decisions on me. And maybe that's from me being like forced like to do stuff I didn't want to do in prison or something. But like if someone tells me no and like it's not what I want to hear, like there's no chance I'm not going to get around it. Like I don't care if I have to, like I don't know what it is inside my mind, bro, but I just can't settle for that. You know what I mean? Like I just can't settle for that. And maybe it's like the same thing in life. I'm just not stagnant or mediocre, like I don't know. But I don't let someone tell me no. Like if they do and there's no way around it, I'm going to find another way around it with someone else. Or just like Instagram, if I can't get a hold of some big dude on Instagram to try and get on my show or something like that, I'm so good with it, I'll 3-step them. So I'll like try and look at some other mutual followers we have, the guy that maybe only has 3,000 followers to try to get a message to him. And then I'm trying to tell him to message and get his buddy that has 40,000 followers to try and get it. And then I'm at to do with 1 million followers. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I think prison taught that when your back's against the wall and you're like put in a cell, like you're gonna figure stuff out. Like no matter what, if there's a way, I'm gonna figure it out.
I saw you on that. I was like, doing a little research on you, and I saw you on that Evolution with Emily podcast, and you were talking to her about her boss, and I just thought it was really cool how like you don't give a fuck. You're like kind of vulnerable. You're like, dude, I keep hitting that guy up, like have him get back. You're not too cool for school. That's a pretty cool quality to have.
And you want to know the full progress we've been since then?
Yeah.
I was at his house at his private party a couple months ago in St. Louis.
Get the heck out of here! And what's the guy's name?
Andy Priscilla.
Yeah. Okay. See that? Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Every single person. So I don't know if you know who Matthew Morgan is too. I just had him on my podcast last week.
I know him through your podcast. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you know who Josh Snow is?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're having him on too?
Tomorrow.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like those are the last two. You know what I mean? I'm like every single one of these guys. When I was at Marquee, I had been following these guys on Instagram, and Andy Purcell and all them, and I had been like, I'm gonna be there with them. And it's like this last week I was at like with Matthew Morgan, then we went to dinner, did the podcast together, and it's like Josh Snow and Purcell, and it's like everything I said I was gonna do a year and a half ago or something. It's like coming to fruition times 10 already. You know what I'm saying? But that's because I didn't take no. Like when someone told me no to get in with Andy Frisella, I tried another route and I tried another route. And like, I tried to get a hold of it. I tried to get hold of it for the last year and a half straight. And I finally did it though. And it's like, that was a moment too, where I'm like, seriously, I'm in St. Louis. I'm like at Andy Frisella's house and I'm like going back and I'm like, not to even brag, but like, I fucking did this. You know what I'm saying? Like seriously, like nobody believed this shit. No one. And dude, when I quit my job, I'm not even joking to say that I got no support. It was the exact opposite. Like my dad and my brother were like calling each other every day. Like, dude, you got to talk about quitting this job. Like, what is your brother doing? You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, you got to figure I'm covered head to toe prison tats with an 8th grade education. I'm making $350. Like who in the world is going to quit that job?
For people who don't know, who is Andy Frisella?
Andy Frisella he's the owner and founder of First Form. He has the Real AF podcast. He's the creator of 75 Hard. A lot of people don't even know a lot of his stuff, and they don't know that he's the creator of all that stuff. And if you ask me, he's one of the baddest dudes on the planet, and just a good American dude, and just an awesome cat, man.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's pretty cool because I had no idea that you had like really connected with him since I saw that, and that's kind of exactly what I'm talking about. All right, how do we stay?
Well, how cool is the rule that day was there was no posting because he said he wanted everybody just to enjoy each other's company, so I didn't post there.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
But just to show you your mindset, right? So, and here's my mindset, and this is what people need to do, right? Because the only thing that's stopping you is your own doubts for yourself, right? So, like, when I go to St. Louis, it's Summer Smash. So it's the biggest First Form event of the year. And Emily got me signed with them. So I'm one of their athletes, right? So we go out there. And this is going to be my first time meeting
So you're
Andy
a First Form athlete and you go out there.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is going to be my first time meeting Andy Purcell. I know for sure I'm going to meet him because he's there, right? And then she had told me that there's this after party. So the event's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday comes around and then supposedly Andy hosts a private party at his house for just like the celebrities and the elite big first round athletes that are there, right? I'm friends with all the elite athletes and stuff, and I know them all, right? So Summer Smash, my whole goal right there is, of course, what do? There's no chance I'm not going to get invited to that party. So what do? I book my whole entire flights and everything for after the Sunday party, right? Seriously, no joke. I book a hotel, flights, everything to fly back Monday
It's
morning.
a mental thing, though.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. There's, just like you said, how do I deal with saying no? There's no chance I'm not getting invited to this party, right? So at Summer Smash, my entire goal that day is say what up to everybody and get myself an invite to Andy Frisella's party, right? Before you know it, I end up chilling in Andy Frisella's VIP tent with him for almost 2 hours watching his private concert. And we hit it off so well that I was like, but everybody's scared of the dude, like seriously. So we hit it off so well that I was like, I told like Tommy, Bex, and Emily, I was like, I'm just going to ask Andy if I can come to his house. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, I don't even care, you know? And because I don't care. What's the worst you're going to say is a no, and I'm not invited anyways, you know? And she's like, if you want, go ahead. But she's like, we'll still try for you. It's just been kind of hard because everybody's kind of surrounding, you know? And I go back to go, and I'm like, I'm going to talk to him. He happened to cut out of the early, so I didn't see him again, right? And this party starts at like 2 o'clock the next day. So I get up and I Uber to the gym. I do my workout and I get back at 1 o'clock and I'm like hitting up Emily and Tommy, like no one's talked to Andy yet, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, dude, and it's like whatever the party's at 2 or 3 o'clock, it's like 30 minutes before the party. And I just sat there and I'm like, and I texted Tommy, he's like, yeah, we're on our way to the thing. He's like, sorry, bro. And I'm just like, and I'm sitting, I was like, you can't be kidding me. I cannot be. I'm going to sit in this hotel all day long and I did not get invited to this party. I'm like, I cannot believe this has happened. And I'm like, not only that, this is the first time this has happened to me since I've like on this recovery thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't ever like did something and it didn't come through. And I don't even know what I'm going to do, but I'm like venting, man. I call my mom and I'm like, I'm sitting in this hotel by myself now because I didn't get invited to the party that I booked everything around, you know? And like literally Tommy calls me on the other line. And I hang up and he's like, yo, don't tell anyone to come. Here's the address. And he said, you're good to go. I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, you know it. But it's like, I didn't give up. Like, really, as much as it might seem so small, like, I can't even tell you the people that I met in his backyard. So, like, you know, like, I'm chilling with Ian Smith, Ian Went, like, Fleischman, Cole Hatter, like, the biggest of the people you can imagine. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, and what's cool is, like, I was always scared to tell my story. Now I tell them all my story. And before you know it, I always notice, like, I'm, like, the talk of the wherever I am now. You know
I,
mean?
I can imagine, yeah. And you
dude, I was at a dinner 2 Saturdays ago with Dan Fleischman. I always give a shout out to Dan Fleischman, man. When I met him in Salt Lake City and like the love he's shown me and like how far it's went from people, because I'll tell you this, a lot of people vouch for me now, but like when you get Dan Fleischman to vouch for you, like it goes a long, long way. So he does my podcast and then we're like, he tells me afterwards, I had him at my house. I had a studio at my house, you know? So I picked Dan Fleischman up from the airport and bring him to my house. And then after we get done, he's like, what's the plan? I was like, you tell me, sir, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to take you wherever you need to go, you know? And he's like, so he said he always sets up like a lunch or dinner whenever he's in town with like a bunch of all his like the big baller homies wherever he's from. And he's like, you coming to dinner with us? And I'm like, and I told him, I'm like, I'm going wherever you'll let me go. You know, like if you let me go, I'm going 100%. She's like, so let's go. And keep in mind, I'm in there now and I'm like a fly. I could be a fly on the wall at this table. I'm happy. You know, like half of these dudes got their own jets. Like the one dude's talking about buying a 737 jet because the other jet's not too big, you know. And one dude, I'm not even joking, rolls around with Navy SEALs private security literally every day. And seriously, and I'm like, how the hell did I get here? You know, and then, but I get in touch with all of them, get all their information, you know, and then the next Fleischman just hits me up. This was 2 weeks ago, and he's coming in town on Saturday. Now I'm like, he gives me the private invite. And he's like, Toke Madera, there's going to be 18 of us, Reverend. I'm like, holy shit. Not only did he come on my show, but I'm like, I'm invited. I got these private invites now with Dan Fleischman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I go there, and I don't know if you know Aaron Wagner, but he's one of the other last dudes that I haven't got to meet yet. And Wags pulls up, and we followed each other but never talked. And so we start talking, and
now are these guys all like venture capitalists or first form?
Yeah, you should look up Aaron Wagner. He's the biggest venture capitalist probably that there is now.
Okay, cool.
And
it's funny. One of my buddies is works in that field. He's a sober guy. He was in. He
should hook up with him. Man. He owns Wags Capital, and he's the biggest. I mean, this dude has 2 jets, a helicopter, everything.
Okay.
So then I'm sitting right here with Aaron Wagner, and that was my goal. Then I knew Wags was in town because he just bought a place out here in Paradise Valley. So like my whole goal was to. So I saw Wags at first, and I'm sitting with him, and then, dude, I'm not joking. Before you know it, like this, the type of people these were. So it's the day that the Jake and Logan Paul fight was here, right?
Yeah.
Or that Jake Paul fight was here. Jake Paul's doctor literally left Jake Paul to come to lunch to say hi to Fleisch and all of us. So like I'm chilling with Jake Paul's doctor, right? Like that's the kind of people that these are.
Yeah.
And before you know it, the whole table by the end of this lunch it's a huge wide 18-person table. the entire table has migrated from this side all the way over here, and it's just surrounded by me, bro. Like, just asking me prison questions about my story and stuff. And I'm like, holy fuck, bro. I just like.
And this all comes from accepting yourself and accepting your story and
telling my story.
Yeah.
Telling my story, not being embarrassed by it. You know what I mean? And it's like, people think I've done a lot. I got some cool stuff this past year, and I'm like, dude, this next year is going to be like one for the record books, bro. Like, seriously. And I'm like, I honestly think we're going to help millions and millions of people this next year. Like, when these apps come out, and my podcast going live in these prisons, it's going to change the game for those inmates, man, because like, I'm a real shot caller telling you that shit what you're doing is lame. You know what I'm saying? And like, and I'm showing you like, you can get out and become a millionaire. Like, we never thought that was an option for us in prison. You know what I'm saying? Like, I shot to make construction like money. Like, I shot to make minimum wage, and my goal, the top of the success mountain when I get out of prison, is make minimum wage doing construction probably, and somehow get sober and have a boring ass life, but at least I'm not in prison. Yeah. That's all I thought I could do with my life.
And look at you now. All right, here's the last question for you. How are we got two more. How do you stay right-sized? Because you got so much shit going on. You're about to have a baby. You know, you obviously are living like this incredible life, but you got to remember, like, you were a junkie.
To be honest, it's just my time, bro. Like, I think all that suffering, all those years I did, I had this talk with her yesterday. You know, I'm like, everything that's coming to me, I feel like I deserve it and some. And as long as I keep putting people first, everything else is going to work itself out. And that's literally my goal in life every day. You know what I'm saying? As long as I put myself second and like put helping people together first, it's all going to work out. Because you didn't know me like a year and a half when I quit my job. Like, people were asking about that, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make money. Like, I was saying the whole time, like, God's writing my paychecks. You know, that's all I used to say. You know what I mean? It's like, and I still can't believe some of the stuff when I look back a year and a half, when I get my memories from Facebook, you know, and it's like in a year, I'm like, holy shit, it's been a year since then. You know what I mean? But it's like, the last year I was broke as hell, and I quit shopping, and I started like, I had to just hustle and figure stuff out. And I said, God was writing my paycheck. So like, all the stuff and like the ego stuff is like, this is just my time, man. I honestly believe that. And like, as long as I don't let the ego slip in, I don't start putting myself first before other people, it's all going to work itself out.
All right. What do you tell somebody that can't get sober and is asking you, they say, you know, those people you talk to, that elevator pitch, what do you tell them? You know, what's hope look like to you?
God, the toughest thing is because one thing is I feel like it's different with everybody's situation, but like the biggest thing I tell them, I'm like, I just try to tell them, just give me 90 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, give it a full 90 days. And I promise you, like, within 90 days, you will see so many things come true that you didn't even think were possible in years sober that you won't even want to go back to using. And that's all, but you got to like fully give up. And like, my biggest message with people in recovery, because it's all how you view things, right? So like, if you go into a meeting and you're looking for the differences, you're not going to get shit out of the meeting, and you're going to not like AA, and you're not going to not like recovery, and you're going to want to go back to using, you know, like, because that was a hard thing for me when I was younger in the recovery rooms. All the dudes were older, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I didn't think that this old man had anything to say, and that was because I told myself that. So I didn't even listen to what he was saying. If I didn't look at him and I just listened to what he was saying, the dude's talking like he's me, you know what I'm saying? So like, the biggest thing is I would tell people, because I work with a ton of youngsters, it sounds crazy, I'm like, don't look at how old the dudes are in the room. I'm being serious, like literally, like, but because seriously, it's life and death, bro. It seriously is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they look at how old these dudes are in these rooms, and no offense to old guys in AA, because they're the AA OGs. You know what I'm saying? Like, they paved the way for us, just like the dudes did in prison. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's seriously, if a kid just focuses on the fact that these dudes are all old with gray hair and they have nothing in common, the kid could kill himself. You know what I'm saying? So like, as much as it sounds like it's something funny, it's not, because it's life and death. You know what I'm saying? So as long as I can like make sure that that's embedded in their head, because I know when these youngsters are going to the meeting, probably the first thing they're going to be thinking is, holy shit, I don't fit in with none of these people. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just try to prepare them for what outs they're going to have in their head, or what's going to go through the head their first time going to meetings, something like that. And a lot of them haven't been to a meeting themselves. So I like tell them, like, I'll go to, you ask about recovery, I kind of keep it for the most part when I'm taking someone to the meeting for the first time, or going for someone that's in their first 90 days and wants someone to go to meetings with them. So like, I don't have a routine of going to meetings anymore, but anytime a youngster wants to go, or someone asks me to go to a meeting, I'm there 100%, you know?
Peter, you're an OG, dude. I appreciate it, man.
Dude, I appreciate this. So thank you, man. This is cool. I love recovery talk, man.
Yeah, I'll send you this. This will be up later. I'll send you the link. Yeah, dude, I really appreciate your time. And you know,
anytime, man.
Yeah, what you're doing is pretty awesome. I still say I need you to stay close. All right, just I need you to get back in that meeting routine, because here's the last thing I'll say. Actually, it's tough to say to you because you really do have a huge platform. But just, because that's my whole thing. It's like, you get sober for a little while, and you want to stay close because you have something to share. But you're doing it in so many different ways too. It's pretty amazing.
That saying, don't let the life of that recovery program get in the way of the life.
Don't let the gifts of sobriety get in the way of the gifts of sobriety. Yeah, I've been
I'll
told
try to get
that.
the word out without using those 2 letters, so my dad will flip out on me today. He's still a dick with that stuff. He'll be like, "You used the word." I'm like, "Dad,
what word? What
message, bro?" He hates when I say AA on my podcast.
Oh yeah, he's the man. I you know what? And it's weird because I have trouble with that too. What's
crazy, and I fight with my sponsor because and I'm not to ever bag on anything. I don't agree with that whatsoever. And here's my thing, like, if I'm promoting my podcast, and this is a talk I just had with my sponsor last week, just to know how real shit is daily. Like, my dad and me completely differ on this stuff. And I told him, like, here's my thing. And I know you're not supposed to promote the brand, all that stuff, and I'm not doing that. I'm not making money off this shit. Like, but here's my goal: is if I'm talking to, say, 300,000 different inmates across the country on their tablets, and they all want to know how the hell to get sober, what the hell do I tell them if I can't talk good about AA?
Yeah.
The only thing they have in there is AA.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to tell these dudes?
Yeah.
And here, you can answer this too. Am I so worried about the traditions that I'm leaving it anonymous that I'm going to like let all these people not know where the secret is?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I'm.
Do you have an answer for that?
No,
because everyone tells me a different answer, and I don't know. But I just go with what God says, and God puts those words in my mouth. And if God's telling us to say that, that's what He wants to say, and that's what I believe.
I heard somebody say once, it's like, people that have cancer, they use chemotherapy. Now, sometimes chemotherapy doesn't work, and people succumb to the cancer. It's the same thing with AA. Like, like sometimes AA doesn't work, but it's the best fucking solution out there. It's the best game in town.
100%.
Yeah.
And 100%. I'm with you, bro. Like I said, I'm a full blown AA recovery guy. You know what I'm saying? And whatever AA doesn't work for everybody. Just like quitting drinking cold turkey doesn't work for everybody. But whatever works for you, it works. You know what I'm saying? You just got to work it.
Dude, Peter, thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, buddy.
Have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll be in touch, and I'll shoot you this link when it's up, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you guys all for listening.
All right, man. Take it easy, bro. Thanks so much for listening to the Payoff with Pete. Once again, I'm Pete Souza. And of course, we are part of the Rogue Media Network. All kinds of good podcasts you can find at roguemedianetwork.com. And of course, you can find this podcast and all those other ones wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, other spots like that.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.